Hello guys, following my Hydra Sorceress build. This time it's a poison rogue, which will be kinda strong if you want to play a rogue on the Season 2 patch 1.2. Keep in mind that it's a builder, so you may have 1 or 2 improvements to do, but overall you'll have everything, especially the Vampiric powers, Paragon, skill setup and so on, in order to have a very good start on this new ladder. Let's start with the skill, and you want to play the puncture in order to trigger a few dark shrouds. So it's important to have this one. Then you have Twisting Blade for the damage, Shadow Step and Dash for the mobility, Poisoned Imbuement and Poison Trap for the poison damage. For the specialization, we'll be playing combo points in order to boost our Twisting Blades. So now for the aspects and the stats, you want first to have a chance to create a Dusk Shroud Shadow when you use this skill. That's why it's important to have this one. On the stats, you want Poisoned Imbuement, Dexterity and Cooldown Reduction. After, for the armor poison damage, damage reduction, damage and cutthroat skill damage, and the fact that you'll get some armor when you do damage. If you have it, you can also try this new unique item, so it's this one, which have a chance to create poison traps and so on when you are at unlimited energy, so you need to swap combo point for inner sight. Otherwise, we'll stay on this setup. So then we have for the gloves attack speed, lucky hit chance, ranks of our twisting blades and critical strike chance. And for the power, the fact that it will boost your twisting blades. For the pants, healing with the K passive, and you'll want damage reduction on it and dexterity. For the boots, you'll focus on movement speed, either for the aspect but also for the stats, so you'll have movement speed, dexterity, intelligence and also, if possible, movement speed after killing an elite. You'll have a great synergy with the Vampiric power, I'll detail this a bit later. And for the weapons, you'll have core skill damage dexterity, damage over time and damage to poison enemies. It's the same for the one-handed weapon, and you want the fact that puncture will land a poison hit every third cast. We'll also be using this unique weapon, which will increase your attack speed, and for the rings, first one you want increased critical chance when you make an enemy vulnerable. This one, you'll trigger an explosion when you use your poison imbuement. For the stats, you want poison damage, critical strike damage, damage over time, and damage to poison enemies. Lastly, for the amulet, poison imbuments have a chance to create a toxic pulse, and you'll have no cooldown with your poisoned imbuement inside. First one, you have a chance to increase your attack speed based on your movement speed. That's why it's important to get some movement speed, especially on your boots. Then you have increased damage to vulnerable enemies. We won't be using any affix increasing our vulnerable damage, but we have plenty of synergy with vulnerable, so make sure to not take them on your stats, but as you can see, you'll still have some great stuff working with vulnerables. Then you have some damage reduction per life missing. You can also swap this power if you see that you are quite comfortable, but if you like resistances, you can go for resilience. And then we have two very interesting power. First one, a chance to apply Vampiric curse on enemies. It's important to get this one because we'll synergize it with this power, increasing damage over time to enemies affected by a Vampiric curse. So with this setup, you'll have a great boost to your damage over time, and we'll have a great working synergy with this build. For the gems first, damage over time on your weapon, increased life on your armors, and for the jewelry, first you need to be at the cap of 70% in every resistance. If you have it, you can put some skulls on your jewelry. For the skill tree, we get this one and this passive because we won't be needing additional vulnerable application. Then we get our main skill and the fact that it will daze enemies. We also have some good passives just here. You can put 1 point here for the healing and 3 points here in order to grant movement speed. This movement speed will also be transformed into attack speed, so it's important to take it. We have the Shadow Step with the stun, celerity just 1 point here, and after our Dark Shroud with also increased movement speed. If you prefer, you can also go for the critical strike chance. Then we have Poison Trap with increased damage to enemies inside Poison Trap and increased damage passives, and this one too. We also have our Poisoned Imbuments, increased poison with the critical strike and so on, and of course Poison passive, increased poisoning damage and affected by poison. After that, 3 points to gain energy on a lucky hit, and our K passive momentum, which will be triggered as long as you use this core skill because you have this passive. So basically, you'll always be at full stack of of momentum, and it will also heal yourself since we have the aspect on the gear setup. Let's finish with the Paragon setup, and we want this glyph in order to boost your control skill damage and also to give you a bit of reduced damage. Then we have this glyph increasing damage to poison enemies, and you can get also this legendary node increasing poison damage and resistances. At the right we have this glyph increasing damage to enemies affected by trap skill. We won't take the combo point node because it's a bit too far to get, and we have at the bottom this glyph increasing poison damage, this node which will increase critical strike damage to enemies affected by your trap skill, and on your right you have this glyph increasing damage to vulnerable enemies. It doesn't mean that we need once again to get vulnerable affixes, but this one will increase your global damage output. Then our last glyph in order to boost your non-physical damage, so of course poison. Thanks for watching this video. I hope that you'll have everything that you need with that build, and if you have any question, feel free to post in the comments. I'll be happy to answer you.